So good evening to all our mentorship traders. We are on the 14th of May 2021, Friday evening, 9 p.m. We're going to talk about the markets first, the sectors, what can we expect from the market next week, and then we will look into some medium to long-term investment prospects. But first, let's take a look at the index. The Nifty futures daily chart and the 14,900, 15,000 zone does prove to be a tough wall of resistance for the index. It's proven itself multiple times over the last month or two, and this time again it reacts. We are not too surprised by the fact that the short-term trend has reversed yet again, up to down, down to up, and all that. That enough drama it has done, but overall the market is stuck in a range, not very good for short-term traders because of the volatility. What can we expect going forward? Now, as you can see, I've marked few levels, and these two levels, 14,755 and 14,600, is essentially the high and low of today's bar. What I am keen to observe on Monday and Tuesday is whether this 3-day or a 2-day correction and a third day of consolidation, today's I would consider to be a consolidation, is just a correction to the trend reversal. You can see the moving averages turned over. It has tested 14,900, 15K with a one-way rally. If you want me to mark it, you notice that the last two times, this time and this time, it came to this psychological 15K mark. The rally with which it came was one way. Fine. And whenever the prices go up one way, of course, they're bound to be tired. They do get tired, which will lead to the correction. So the first correction that it posted was this one, which was around 3.7%. And the second one that we have now in our hands is somewhere around 2.6%. So the size of the corrections are so far relatively shorter, smaller. This is a good sign. When I use the word good, I mean from a bullish perspective. And so a move about 14,755 will actually trigger the next leg move up. And this leg move up can be really interesting. Generally, they are explosive in nature, but I do not think it's going to be explosive because I don't see any support coming in from the sectors that matter a lot. Sectors that matter a lot, Bank Nifty, private sector banks, they are in a pretty strong downtrend. So they have to give us a U-turn kind of a reversal for this move to be explosive. Nevertheless, from a short-term perspective, 14,755, if it takes out on Monday, you got to move towards 14,900, 15K for sure. It needs to take it out, and better it sustains above that. That is, if Monday we have a move above that, it should close. Then it can show some strength towards 15K yet again. And this time, it's very likely that it will take up 15K with ease. On the other hand, on the flip side, if you notice, and if you have gone through the our setups closely, we have a decoy bar here. We call this a decoy bar. And 14,600 can be a very crucial breakdown. Very crucial breakdown in terms of the sell-off that didn't come here may lead to a significant sell-off down to these lows. So I think Monday, Tuesday, or the early part of next week's trade is going to be very, very interesting for the market. Now, what bothers me, or where I'm a little more confused than usual, is if 14,755 is taken out and the index attempts a move towards 15K, then who are the ones who's going to take it up there? Now, if I take you to stock charts, and we generally do this and check the RRG charts and the tails, well, I've sorted the list in terms of percentage gainers over the last week. We can see the public sector enterprises. We've seen stocks, NMDC, we've seen BAIL, all the stocks rallied exceptionally well across most of the sectors. Even banks like SBI also did relatively better. We've got PSU Bank, right there. We've got media. Media doesn't matter too much. Energy, it was the OMCs. Reliance is not playing a part. ONGC played a big part. And we've been talking about FMCG and consumption. Remember that if I increase the tail for towards 3 months, remember that over the last 3 weeks, we've been talking that the consumption and FMCG has again managed to find itself back to the improving quadrant. Generally, they should give us a move. And that move came in today. If you look at the CNX FMCG, it has given us a breakout. And the consumption of the consumer durable space is about to give us a breakout. It's range bound. Both the charts, if you look at the weekly charts, are very strong, especially consumption and FMCG, both are very strong. So this time, I think these guys are ready for a move, and they have given the first leg of the move. Any short-term quick dips will be an opportunity to buy into them. Stocks that have given us a move from this sector, we've seen ITC has moved well, though again it's completely stuck with 200 as a very strong support. Hindustan Unilever is a little difficult. It's been quite volatile. But the other stocks which have led to a trend reversal, we have McDowell, Nestle has given a good move, Colgate Palmolive, who can not forget the 15% gap up we saw in Godrej Consumer. So this space is showing some bit of traction. But this space does not mean too much to the overall markets. This space does not have a big weightage. The weightage comes in from Bank Nifty, and that index is in a downtrend. And today, in fact, it underperformed the markets pretty well, and it's been underperforming. So that's not good news. Amongst the private sector banks which matter to the index, there are two stocks that I'll be keeping a close eye on next week, early next week: Axis Bank and ICICI Bank, especially ICICI Bank. The primary reason for being Axis Bank and ICICI Bank is again the same thing. It's got a short-term trend reversal, and this is a short-term drop down. So if it manages to find support here, which is close to its previous lows, which is close to its April highs, which is again close to Feb 21 low. So this range for ICICI Bank is very, very important and crucial. So stocks like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank can lead to some kind of a movement, which can lead to some kind of a movement in the Bank Nifty, and that can support the market. So keep a close eye on Bank Nifty. Fin Nifty, all the financials are again in a downtrend, and it's not looking that good. It's not looking that pretty. IT is one that you can look at. Now that we're talking about sectors, let's come back to the stock charts RRG page. Let's sort in terms of the tail. It's very important to take a look at who's standing where. Now, metal, extremely strong. It's got everything, relative strength, the momentum of the strength, but it's very difficult to make sense of risk reward at these dizzy heights. Most of the stocks did give us a sharp correction, and I think it's better that it comes down and then we can look into it. Small and mid caps have been performing exceptionally well, and it's going to be a stock specific market. It's likely to stay as a stock specific market for the rest of the month, if not more. So even if you do not have a thematic or a theme based approach, if you have stock movements, go for it. IT and energy. Now, energy, we've been talking about energy, I remember, for the last couple of months, improving quadrant, two leading quadrant. Now it's dropping its relative strength. Now, the problem with energy, it's highly skewed by only one stock, which is Reliance Industries. If you come here and if you allow me to open the oil and gas space, this stock is going nowhere. It's in a downtrend, and I've been drawing these boxes for all the time, showing the kind of consolidation that this stock is within. But it's at a crucial juncture. It's at a crucial juncture in terms of supports, little below the 1900 mark. We did get a good 1 week movement here, and then it kind of consolidated with two very small candles. It should give us a move. It's very likely that it's going to support the market. We did see a hint of that in today's trade. Reliance was doing exceptionally well after bouncing back from the intraday low. So maybe this can be just like the non-banking space. We can get some support coming in from Reliance next week. But it's the BPCL, HPCL, IOC stocks which have given a very good trend reversal. And any short-term correction from here on, and ONGC, you can add it to your list also, are the ones that you should look to trade. Maybe we'll not get a chance next week, but going forward for a slightly longer period of time. The other sector that you should keep an eye on is the IT. Now, this can matter a little bit. Infosys has moved into a short-term downtrend. This is a daily chart, and this is a weekly chart. So it's not been doing much. So not too much hope here. HCL Tech had a share of pretty strong sell-off, and it's been bouncing off from that 900 zone. And the 900, 905, 10 has been pretty decent support. So this guy can give us some kind of a short-term bounce back. But I'm more keen on the second rung IT stocks, like you have the Coforge, you have the Mindtree, you have the Tech Mahindra. They are likely to probably perform a little better. TCS and Wipro. Wipro, of course, stands out. So IT has become a mixed space, which gets reflected here also. We can see IT is in the leading quadrant. But this movement from the lagging and completely missing the improving and going to leading shows that this sector might try to do something in terms of supporting the overall markets. Apart from that, in terms of the improving quadrant, which I generally like, media is improving, but not too keen because not much stocks there too, which matters to the index. It's the pharma. Of course, pharma is doing exceptionally well. We have the FMCG and consumption we've been talking about. So all eyes on FMCG and consumption. Pharma, definitely you should keep an eye. You should continue to keep an eye. They have been doing good. But overall, I think, will it be the private sector banks and the bank Nifty can pick up some momentum or not? Charts do not suggest so. It might continue to stay as a mixed space. It may not be across the board, but maybe odd stocks like iBank can support the bank Nifty. The bank Nifty may give us some small gains, which can help the Nifty try to inch towards that 14,900. If all this kind of a scenario, what I'm expecting, anticipating, doesn't play out, then there's not much hope, in the sense that it will be difficult for the market to hold on. In such a case, we might get a sell-off. But if you ask me, today, 14th of May, my marginal bias is towards a movement on the upside. And I base this anticipation based on the fact that the index is definitely going to get tired when it approaches strong resistances one way. The next correction needs to be smaller in size compared to the previous corrections. And so far, we have a smaller correction. The trend is still intact on the daily time frame, and so a move about 14,755. I think we have 15K on our cards next week if it takes out 14,755. We'll see this, what happens next week. I'm going to wrap up my market view here. And now, like always, let's move ahead and talk about few medium to long-term investment ideas.